Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Fireside Chat brought to you by Run, Try, Bike, Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. My name is Jason Bahamundi. I am your host for the show, and I will be joined by Chrissy Murphy in a minute as I am super excited to have her join the show. Before I bring her on, please remember to subscribe, rate, review the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform. We have a number of different shows on there where we are talking about running and music, running and food, Q&A, serious conversations, men's mental health, and everything in between. When you get to your favorite podcast platform, be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and comment so that we can continue to bring great stories to you, like the one we will be having with Chrissy here in a moment. So before I keep rambling on and ruin your afternoon, let's bring Chrissy to the show and have a blast. Hey, Chrissy, how are you?
Trying to get this down.
Oh, it's okay. You're good. Take your time. I can see you. You look good. Are you good?
Let me get it. Okay, let me try the computer.
While Chrissy's working on the technical side of things, let me give you some information about Run, Try, Bike and where we are and where we're headed for the future. What you're going to see from us is more behind the scenes videos and posts about the athletes that we are interviewing, about the process that we go through in finding these athletes, as well as how we're sharing our podcasts, as well as our articles that you'll see out there. We'll still have articles coming from fantastic writers like Holly Sick and Dylan Roche and Christine Reed, excuse me, amongst many others. So it's going to be super exciting to have a lot of the stories going on, and we'll continue to bring them to you, but with a little bit of added behind the scenes components. We are looking at potentially having a Wild West relay team in next year's event. So be on the lookout for that. It would be August of 2026. We are in the process of talking about having a live broadcast as hosts in December at a 100K in Indiana. And then also RTB Awards is still moving forward really fast. We are excited to be able to help race directors with their athletes in terms of memorabilia and awards to really continue to tell their story through winning these awards that they get that are handmade by Joe Harden as part of the RTB Awards. And then just lastly, podcast growth. We are 2-3 weeks away from our first year as a network, and I can't wait to reveal some of the numbers that we have seen over the past 12 months and really what you guys have done to help us grow this podcast platform. Super excited for. So it seems like we've gotten the technical difficulties out of the way, so I'm going to bring Chrissy on and let's have a great conversation. Hey, Chrissy, how are you?
Hey, Jason, how are you? Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Look, it wouldn't be a fireside chat by Run, Try, Bike unless there was a technical difficulty somewhere along the line.
There you go. There you go.
Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I know it's super short notice, so I appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, of course.
First question we ask everybody is pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
100% yay.
Oh, can I rescind my invitation now?
No, see, here's my thing. I'm glad that you asked this because when people talk about like stuff that they like or don't like, right? So if you don't like it, more for me and less for you. So it's like a win-win, right? So
100%.
if we went somewhere together, we wouldn't have to share. So
if we went somewhere together, we're probably both ordering our own pizza pies anyway. So let's be honest.
That's
We're
true.
runners. We're going to eat the whole thing on our own.
You are correct.
All right. So pineapple on pizza is a yay. But what is the go-to order for pizza for you anyway?
What is the go-to order? So it's interesting because if I'm usually there with my family, my younger daughter loves pepperoni. And like, if it's a place that does like the double, triple pepperoni, that's what she wants. She wants all the pepperoni. My older daughter loves Canadian bacon. So we usually get one that's like half Canadian bacon and one that's like super mega pepperoni.
And
I prefer just like a simple, like I'd rather have like a margarita pizza, just plain.
Yep.
kind of a basic pizza. I don't like it to be too heavy. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
I'll
I'm a New
I'll eat
Yorker,
something on
so
the
if you
side.
just give me plain cheese, I'm good to go. I don't need
Yeah,
much more
good
than that.
quality cheese, you're good.
Yeah. So this is unbelievable to be able to be talking to you because Dylan Roche interviewed you for an article on our website back in November. So we're only talking about 8 months ago, and it's been awesome to get to know somebody as much as you can know somebody through social media.
Sure, yeah.
Since I read your article that Dylan wrote for us. Back then, you had stated that you started running in 2010 with an app that you downloaded to help you do a 5K. And since then, you've gone on to, at that time, run 40 marathons. Has that number increased since November?
Yeah, I've done what am I at? 43 now. So yeah, 43.
Do you have one that just stands out from the rest?
Oh, that's a really good question. I have done the majors, and people usually ask, what's my favorite major? Tokyo Marathon's probably my favorite out of all of them because I did grow up in Japan, and it was very special because my parents were still there when I went to run in 2015. So I got to see them on the course. I've never seen like my parents at a marathon course. And because they lived in Japan, my mom is the person that can like, navigate the trains super quick. And she actually saw me on the course 3 times, which
Oh,
was
that's so awesome.
incredible. So
Did you
so
cry?
special.
Did you cry?
Yeah.
I would have been in tears if I would have been able to see my mother on the course 3 times.
Oh my gosh. It was so great. Like, it was so funny because my husband was like, there's no way we're going to see her. And my mom's like, you just watch. And she wore this like bright magenta wool coat because it was a cold day for spectators. For me, it was perfect running weather, but I was able to spot her really easily. So that
So
was
is
nice.
your style come from your mother then? Because you wear bright colors too when you're out there in the pictures you post.
Yeah, I think so. Because when I was younger, like high school, like I went through kind of like the no color stage, everything black, every shade of black. And my mom always tried to like, she's like, well, you could add like one color or 2 colors. Then all of a sudden, like something snapped to me when I grew up a little bit, and I was like, oh yeah, colors are pretty fun.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm glad whatever snapped in you because I love seeing the pictures of every color of the rainbow. Here's the thing with social media. People don't tell you what you do for them in a positive manner often. They often tell you
Yeah,
how much they dislike what you're doing, right? So I'm going to break this mold and
I
let
like
you
that.
know that every time a picture gets posted and I see it on my feed, it makes me smile.
Oh,
There is something about your energy that is super positive. And is that something, is a way you've always been? Have you always been that I'm bringing the energy to everything I do, even in the monotone color days?
yeah, I think, yeah, it's kind of in like work in progress, but yeah, especially as I get older, I think like you know, like time is precious. Like you
Yes.
don't, life is short, all those kind of cliche, but you're like, I'm not going to do something if it's not fun. And if I can make it more fun, I'm going to try to do it every single time. So yeah, that's,
When did running become fun? Because if you downloaded a 5K app, presumably you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just going to follow this app. And, unless things went swimmingly well right out of the gate, when did running actually become fun for you? Was it right away?
I think, it was probably like, maybe like 10 months to a year in when I realized I'm like, hey, you can take your goals seriously, but you don't need to take yourself seriously, So
Ooh,
I
I
think
like that.
that really helped because I talked about this to Dylan, but in my first half marathon, like I didn't know you were allowed to walk. Like
Okay. What did you think was going to happen?
I
What,
thought
what,
like because I heard of sweepers and I heard of like sag wagon, and I'm like, the second they sense you walking, they're gonna come and get you. And I'm like, and so it was a Disney race, so it's like, very congested
Mickey's
in the
going to pull you
road.
off the course?
So I'm like running off road, running in the grass. I'm like, oh, I can't stop. Just keep going. And then, I finished the race a little over 2 hours. Like, I think it was like 2 hour, 4 minutes or something. And I turn around and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people behind me. And I'm like, oh, so it was like lesson learned. I mean, it's wild to think, that was 2011. but like social media was just like not how it is now. So there's no
Yeah.
way like I could have like asked people or anything. Like, I was like, oh, lesson learned. Okay.
Is that the wildest thing you can recall thinking about running when you first got started, that if you thought about it today, you'd be like, seriously, Chrissy, that's what you thought was going to happen?
Yeah, probably that's probably one of the craziest things that I thought. And like, I think my first running watch I got was a Garmin, but it was one of the Garmins that didn't connect to GPS. Like it was just like a step counter, like a fancy step counter.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, I'll never need one of those fancy watches. Like maybe I should downgrade and just get like a Timex,
Yeah.
to see how far you're running. And there's sometimes I think time and place, like sometimes that probably is a good thing to do. But yeah, it's funny. Yeah, you're like, well, it's gonna be basic. I just need like a pair of shoes, like a regular watch. But then you get swept up in
Is that not
gear.
the biggest lie in our sport? Like, oh, you just need a pair of shoes and shorts and you're good to go. And for the most part, that's true. But you're right. You get caught up, I guess is the way to say it, but you find yourself healthier, you find yourself improving, you find yourself happier, and like, I want to do more, right? And
Yeah.
for some people, more is running 300 miles, and for other people, more is racing 5Ks more often. Whatever the
Right.
more is, you find yourself in that space. When did you find yourself saying, I want to do more? Like, this 5K is cool, but I want to do a 10K, half marathon, marathon. What was the next step, and when did it happen?
So I think it was kind of a natural progression for me because, yeah, like the first was a 5K and I was like, oh, that was fun. And, I was very strict with my training and like I love training. I love a good training plan. I love checking off boxes. But for the half, when I went to half, the real reason why I even ran the race that I thought you had to run the whole time was so it was like Run Disney events. So it was the Walt Disney World one. I wanted to just run the Disneyland one because I love Disneyland. But then I hear about, this challenge, Coast to Coast Challenge. I'm like, okay, so I got to do that. So I do the little challenge and I'm, signed up for it. And in the summer, I'm like, if I'm going to be running all this much, maybe I should like train for a marathon. I just kind of like threw it out there. And people are like, really? Like, why would you want to do that? And I was like, well, I mean, you're doing a long run every weekend.
Yeah.
And I was living in Virginia, so it's like hot, in
Yeah.
the summer, hot and humid. And I was like, well, I'll be ready. I would have done enough runs. So I was training for the half in September, but I was like, if I find a race that's like convenient, maybe I should think about it, and then I was like, oh, find the Richmond Marathon. And so I signed up for that. So I was like, okay, I'm good, and that's when I found out, I found out all these little lessons that now I think people could just Google it really quickly.
But they don't.
I was like,
don't, right? Because the stories are still being told like, oh, I didn't know about X or Y. So they're not Googling it.
It's funny because I was just like, okay, I'm training for this half. And I realized that I wasn't really doing speed work. I was just doing like, run how many miles this day, run how many miles this day. But just the fact that like I was increasing the mileage so much and obviously your endurance, like my first half was 204. And then that second one, I ran a 148. So I was like, okay, so there's something to be said about this, like building up your mileage thing, and I was like, oh, so then the one thing I heard from advice at the running store, because I did get fitted for shoes that summer, because I was like, oh, I'm serious about this running thing now. So the guy there was like, oh, what are you training for? I said, oh, my first marathon. He's like, well, the number one rule for training for a marathon, you want to hear it? I was like, yeah, of course I want to hear it. And he said, don't set a time goal for your first marathon. Your goal should be to have fun and ultimately finish it. If you don't finish it, don't beat yourself up, but that should be your goal, is to just enjoy it. I was like, yeah, okay. And in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, so what's my time goal? All right, so I told everyone, yeah, I just want to finish it, and I was like, no, for sure, 4 hours. I got to run this thing in 4 hours. So, and I did. I ran a 3:59. So
nice.
But I still tell people too, number one rule: don't set a time goal for your first marathon.
It's interesting because when I did my first Ironman, I was told the same thing. Don't set a time goal, and I'm like, have you met me? Like, What do you mean don't set a time goal? Like, I'm going to set a time goal, period, end of story. And my time goal was 12 hours. And I think I finished right around 12 hours in that vicinity. And I know why people say don't set a time goal, because you don't want to upset yourself. You don't want to hurt yourself if you're
Yeah.
pushing too hard and all of these things. And I get that. And I would still convey that same message to people. But it's interesting. Like when I finished, and I don't think I hit under 12 hours at that first Ironman. Maybe I did, but I don't recall ever being upset about it. It was like, okay, cool. This is now the baseline from which to grow from. Was that the same thing for you when you hit the 3:59? Was that sort of like, okay, this is my baseline and I can see how I can improve on this now?
So yes and no. Like I have like this like public, like, yeah, that's cool. I would have been okay with it if like internal monologue is like, oh no, you have to reach that goal. What's your next goal? What's going to be the next one? So I always kind of have this like, the little angel and devil situation. But I would never like get like, like seriously upset about it. But I think like it helps me. So
Yeah.
that's okay. But I would never like, especially like to my kids and stuff. I'm like, I wouldn't like get incredibly upset about it. Like this is, failing at something is like, it teaches you a lot more than when you succeed. And
Yeah.
that was another lesson I had to learn because, you think like, I have this goal, I'm going to beat it. I have this goal, I'm going to reach that goal. But like, you don't feel as satisfied as you think you would be when you just magically reach a goal. It's kind of like that suffering.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you said earlier, like all the cliches, right? I remember a number of years ago, I would hear these cliches and I'm like, enough with the bullshit, man. Like, just go do the thing. But the reality is the cliches are there for a reason. And one of the things I've enjoyed recently is going through the process of training to reach the goal. I DNF'd Canyons 100 a couple of years ago. I'm racing another 100 miler at the end of this year. And I've had to progress over the last 2 years and through the training. And if the trail running gods are with me at Javelina and I get to finish and I get a buckle, the whole process of getting through all of that stuff is going to be super memorable, more
Right.
so than just actually crossing the finish line.
Yeah.
Right. And so let me ask you this. I know you ran Boston in 2022. And so when you finished your first marathon, or maybe even the first handful of marathons, did Boston become sort of a goal for you, or did the world majors become a goal for you?
Yeah. So after my first marathon, I heard that you had to qualify for Boston. And I looked at my time and I'm like, well, I could probably do that. Like I'm young. I'm like, I was. I was. I'm like, yeah, I have the time. At the time, we didn't have kids yet. I'm like, I just go to work and I have time to train. Shouldn't be a problem. I signed up for my second marathon before I even finished the first marathon. So I was kind of already like, a lot of people are like, they say like you run your first marathon and the first thought you have is incorrect, like I'll never do it again. And those are the people that will, 1-2 days later looking online for what they're going to sign up for. I was already signed up because I knew that I wanted to run another marathon and I wanted to make it like special or important. So I signed up for team and training for that second one. And because I wanted to like find a group to train with, because I love mixing it up. I love like solo runs, but I also love like 1 or 2 runs a week, group runs, the social aspect of hanging out with other runners, that kind of thing.
So, go ahead.
I told my coach in team and training that I wanted to qualify for Boston in my second marathon. That didn't happen. That didn't happen, but she believed in me. She was really supportive. But yeah, I ran a 3:58 in my second marathon.
It improved. So PR by a minute.
Yeah. So that was fun. But yeah, I mean, like we were just talking about, it's like all like at the time I was frustrated, kind of disappointed in myself, stuff like that. But now it's like so much more interesting that it was such like a journey to get to the goal, and I have all these stories and experiences that kind of like paved my way to finally reaching it. And it was more satisfying.
How many attempts did it take for you to qualify for Boston?
So official attempts, I want to say it was like 4 or 5, but it was spread out because after Tokyo in 2015, that's when me and my husband decided that we're going to try to start the family. So there was that little span between 2015 and 2018 that I ran one marathon in there. But it was like not to qualify for Boston. It was just to be like, where's my fitness after having one kid?
Yeah.
And I ran a 340. So that was like I took off some more time. So that I was like, okay, I'm on my way. This is good, and then I had our second. And after that, that's when I was like, let's get serious again. But because of that time span, like it ended up being like 9 years for me to finally reach that time. Yeah.
That's a phenomenal story and a great lesson for people who are just getting into this sport, or maybe they've been around for a number of years, who are getting frustrated with either progress or delayed satisfaction. Let's be honest that, look, it took 9 years for you to get to the goal. And sure, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of those years were family oriented, but that's life, right? Like life happens that way. And one day you're living in Virginia, next year in the Pacific Northwest, or like me, one day I'm in Dallas, then I'm in Phoenix, then I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and now I'm in LA. Like that's just what happens in life. And it would be great if it was, utopia 24/7, but it's not. And you have to understand that sometimes things get delayed and pushed off and pushed back, and you just have to keep moving forward when you have the opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
We are a live show. I want to give a shout out to Dylan, who is how we are on the conversation. He joined us for a little while. He had to hop off, but he said he's so glad to have dropped in and listened to the two of us chat. He loves us both. And to Stephanie Walsh on Facebook, she commented, you always have to have a goal. You just have to do your best within reason. And I think that's a really good point, that oftentimes if we're adrift at sea in our training, it can get really easy to fall out of love with our sport because we're not looking at a goal. And a goal doesn't have to be a race or a time or a distance. It could just be, I want to run for 30 minutes today, and whatever that is, get out there and do it. I want to go back to the article that it got you introduced to us in our community. And in that article, because you've mentioned your kids, I want to bring this up, that November was your first time running with them, with the turkey trot. What was that like?
Oh, it ended up being quite interesting, actually. Yeah. So it was us, and my husband came along too. He decided he wanted to sign up. Ended up being a really good idea because the two girls were super like hyped up, ready, excited. We'd been doing like, a little bit of running around the neighborhood. But on race day, I told them, you need to like pace ourselves, like start off slow, it'll be very exciting at the beginning. Don't run too fast. And they're like, yeah, okay, mom, So they, right out the gate, Zoom. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be one of the, okay, and there's so much you can say, and you maybe need to experience it for yourself. So I want to say like they were running like full speed for like a few minutes, and then they're like, are we done? I'm like, we've gone like a quarter mile. We got quite a bit to go. And then we decided to split up. So I took Abby and my husband took Ellie. And it was like a course that had an out and back. So me and Abby were doing like a run walk. I said, this might be helpful for you. If you like running fast, we can do that, but then we'll walk. Let's run fast and then walk. So we were doing pretty good. We come around the turnaround and we see Ellie and Eric. And we like shouted and waved, hey, how's it going? And Ellie, like, terrible. I want to go home, well, we got a little bit left. How much longer? And we're like, okay, see ya. Keep going, make it to the end. Abby was tired, but she's like, when I see that medal, I'm going to be so happy. It's going to be worth it. I said, yeah. And then, we're going to, have whole Thanksgiving, and we'll have like our turkey dinner, and we'll have pie, all that good stuff. And she was in the zone. She was good. We waited at the finish. When we got the finished pictures, like Ellie was the most like mean mugging kid. There's like all these people, put their hands up. She just like the teeth, So yeah, it was interesting, but it was a lesson learned. They want to do it again.
Oh,
So
they do. Both of them?
they're like, we could do turkey trot. We have time to work on it. But me and Abby did a virtual 5K just last week, and she did really good on that. It was a similar time to the turkey trot, and it was a hillier course. So I was proud of her. She did a good job.
Our guy, John Hudson, out in the Chicago area, said he loves the kids' enthusiasm at the first 400 meters of a 5K. Then they hate you the rest of the way until they cross that finish line.
Yes, for sure. And the medal was, it was cool. So in the way home, look at your medal. It has a little turkey that can move around. I hate
She didn't
it.
even care. I could have been sleeping, Mom.
Pretty much. They're like, you
I
do
could have
this
been-
for fun? How much longer is a marathon? I'm like, oh, it's like doing that 8 times. They're like, oh, why?
They must think
Why
you're a
did you do
champion
that?
then. They must think you're a superhero, right?
They're like, why? Why? You think that's fun? I'm like,
Have they gone and spectated one of your marathons?
they did. They actually were there when I ran my BQ, which was really special. It was really
And
cool.
they didn't mind the 3+ hour-ish waiting around?
Yeah, so they moved around a little bit. So they had fun. They had like a little park break in between and stuff. So it worked out pretty well.
That's cool. Like, do you think outside of running, the lesson that you're teaching your kids through running will carry them and help them as they find obstacles in life? Because look, again, it would be awesome if life was, utopia and everything went well, but life is hard.
Mhm.
Do you think that seeing mom go do some hard things and get through running, that they'll be able to take lessons from what they're seeing you do and carry that into their own lives?
I really hope so, and I've even talked to them, like when they've said before, like, we wish we could like running like you. I'm like, that you don't need to like running. You need to find what you like, and that's the important thing. Like my daughter, Abby, she's like really good at tennis, and I'm like the worst at tennis. I'm like, look at that. Like, how you feel like so proud when you can like volley the ball back and like, challenge your friends. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I could never do that. And I think it's really special that you can do that. And you can like think of things that you want to do with that sport or anything else you want to do, so you can like take just like your dedication to something and apply it to what you want to do. And that's totally fine. And she's like, oh, so I don't have to like running. I'm like, there's a lot of people that don't like running.
A lot. We love to tout the fact that 1% of the population has run a marathon.
Right.
That means that 99% of the people have not. There's a lot of people that don't run, and that's okay.
Exactly. And I think I've seen like those t-shirts that say like our sport, like running is the sport that's like other sports punishment.
Exactly.
Like, because in high school I was a soccer manager, and I remember like if they did anything wrong or out of line, running, you'd have to run laps.
I mean, that was my experience when I played high school baseball and football. Running was punishment, and I would look at the kids running on the track, and I'd be like, "Why? Like, why would you do that voluntarily? Of all the things that you could be doing." And now I'm running 250 milers, which makes zero sense in the grand scheme of things. It just makes no sense. I want to hear if you have a story similar to your kids, because Krista on Instagram said that your kids run at that 5K race where you just zoom out for a quarter mile and then wonder when it's going to end is exactly what it was like for her first race. And I have a story very similar to that. Do you have one where you went out like that and just all the wheels of the bus came off?
All the wheels just fell off. Yes, I do. I do have a couple, but one of the ones, so thus far, I've not DNF'd a marathon. So this is the story of the one I almost did, because let me get my dog. So it was in Charlottesville. It was after I ran the Baltimore Marathon, which is another whole story. I ended up with like a bib while in the middle of a training cycle, but it was like a day I was supposed to run a 20 and I got a Baltimore Marathon. Well, it's a 20 miler with a 10K. Yeah, that's fine. So I ran my PR there. So I was like, oh, so this is great. I'm so set up for my marathon in December because that was October. I'm so good. But so this course, I don't think it exists anymore, but it's in Charlottesville, Virginia. It's called the Three Bridges Marathon. It is like a loop course. You have to run 6 times, like up and down this road. In my mind, I'm like, this is going to be great. I train there all the time. I could do it with my eyes closed. Like, I know what the weather's going to be like. I'll sleep in my own bed the night before. Everything's great, you know? Then there's this other gal named Molly who lived in the area, and she was like kind of a semi-elite runner. And I'm like, I'll see her on there. I'll just see her like, you know, lapping me, which will like motivate me to see her. And it really did. Like she'd wave every time. It was wonderful. But I think like the second and a half time, I'm just like, this is the worst day of my life. Like the weather was perfect. Like there were spectators on this boring road, which is shocking that there were spectators because it was like family members. It was a pretty small race. I think it was only like 150 people or something, pretty small. But it was just so bad. And like there was not even a parking lot. Like you parked next to the road. And I was like, I could get in my car and just drive away. It was not chip timed.
Oh.
It was just gun time. I'm like, I could just get in the car and leave. They'll be like, where's Chrissy? And no one will care. You know, like, it'll be fine. But in my brain, I'm like, no, keep going. And I had gone, you know, marathon pace. I didn't overdo it, but I was doing the pace I was supposed to do at the beginning. And just like, that was the race that taught me like, you could physically be ready, but if your head's not in the game, it is over. You know?
Yes.
It's just not going to happen. And I think I ran like a 4:01 or something. And it was just like slow enough to be disappointing.
Yeah.
Like other people, I'm like, I was trying to be like humble. I'm like, oh, other people would love to have this time. This is a good marathon time. And I'm like, I just ran a 3:43 like 2 months ago in Baltimore, where everyone says it's hard to run a fast race, you know? And it was bad.
Something to be said for recovery too, right? Like, so for me, a buddy of mine, I was living in Dallas at the time, says to me, I think we should beat a friend of ours half marathon time. And I'm like, what's her half marathon time? And he said, it's 1:31. And my PR at the time was like 1:36. And I was like, yeah, we could do that. Sure. When's the race? He said, in 2 weeks. I was like, okay, sure. So I think I did like 2 speed intervals over the 2 weeks of training. And we get to the start line and we're literally like the first 2 people at the front of the tape to start because, you know, I need to get going from the get-go. Otherwise, this is never going to happen. And the first 2 miles are like 6:58, 6:52. And I looked at him and I was like, holy shit, we're going to fucking do this, man. Like, I feel great. This is amazing. We get to the 5K mark and like I could see people now passing me, right, as the pace goes down. And this course is just a straight line. So you could see where you have to turn. And it looks like this is Texas. It looks like it's in Oklahoma. And I'm like, oh my God.
No.
And at the time, so the 1:30 pace crew is behind me and they pass me. Then the 1:35 passes me. Then the 1:40 passes me. Then the 1:45 passes. I get to like mile 9 and I'm like, I have to stay ahead of this 150 pace at this point. Like no matter what I do, I don't care how bad it hurts. I have to stay ahead of these guys. About mile 11 or 12, I think they passed me. And I think I finished at like 1:52. So somewhere around 21 minutes off the goal pace.
No big deal.
No big deal. I mean, but I was in like everything hurt. It was awful. And I feel like your kids felt at the turkey trot. Like it was like the first 400 meters. And then it was like, how much longer, Mom?
Why would I do this? This is the worst. That's all. Yeah. Yeah.
A couple of things I want to get to before we run out of time and join in on the food conversation is you're now run streaking with the cool kids, as the hashtag says.
Yeah.
And you mentioned in one of your posts that you've never run streak before.
Yeah.
And so what was the motivation to get you to start this? You're now 10 days into the running with the cool kids run streak. What was the inspiration to get you to do this?
So I'm usually training for something, and this time of my 2025, my next big goal is going to be in the fall. I do have a summer goal, but it's a 5K. So I'm not doing distance right now. So I'm like, this is the perfect time to just be like keeping moving. So you can do like 1 mile or whatever. So the other day I did like 1.3 or something for my run. And so it just seemed like a good option this year. And as you know, since you said you spent some time in this Pacific Northwest, like I think there's not a lot of places that you want to be run streaking in the summer, but here
That
is
place,
perfect.
perfect. It is
So
absolutely ideal up there.
yeah, and it's just beautiful. Like my motivation most mornings is being able to see Rainier. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get out there and it's just gonna be beautiful.
Of all the things that I have seen in my lifetime, we lived in downtown Seattle. I would run on the Centennial Path and I would run north. And then when I would turn around to come south on the Centennial Path and you come around the corner on a good day and Rainier is out, it is overwhelming to the point of emotional.
Yeah.
When you see that mountain, it's unreal how close it looks
Yes.
because it's so big.
It's incredible. It's just beautiful. And if you catch it like right at sunrise, you get like that alpenglow, and it's just like, yeah, it doesn't even seem, it seems like you're like in a fantasy world or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm not on Earth. I don't know where I am.
I don't know if you follow him, but I'm gonna definitely mispronounce his last name, but his name is Stephen Leong, Leong. He's a photographer and takes pictures around Seattle. I follow him on Instagram, and
Write that down.
oh my goodness, the pictures that he takes, especially of Rainier too, are unreal. They will make you want to move to Seattle because they'll make you jealous of what you see there. The other thing that you're doing is you're also raising money for, and please help me if I mispronounce it. Is it pronounced P flag or is it a flag? P flag.
Yeah, you got it.
What is P flag and why is it important to you?
Sure. So PFLAG is actually, it's a organization that provides resources for it's like parents, friends, and anyone that like has someone in their life that's LGBTQ, and just helping support them as well as like, you know, the actual people as well. But it's just it's important to me because I think especially the way things are right now, it's like so many people are driven by fear, and it's so important to like offer assistance to people, like especially people that are just scared and they don't know what to do. Instead of telling someone that they're wrong, like they're like, I don't like this, it's against my beliefs, I don't think, you know, that this is right, to like approach people in like a friendlier way, because sometimes that's what they need. People just are quick to like shut down when they don't understand something. And I think you can't always do that with people, because sometimes people will be like, oh, okay, it's, you know, that's, you do need to get more, I don't know if serious is the right word, but kind of just more persistent about things when people then maybe say really ignorant, horrible stuff. But I think so many people would have more understanding of not just this topic, but like so many other topics if they just were given the information. And I don't, like I said, I like, sometimes I have this conversation with my parents, like they're like, well, that's fine, but like, I don't think that's good. Like, I don't believe that. And I'm like, but why?
Right.
You know, and being able to ask people questions and then give them information. And maybe they don't want to hear it from you right now, but to be able to point them in the right direction and they can kind of discover things on their own. That's why I really like that organization. Like they have so many like resource booklets and like seminar things and things that you can do. Like maybe someone's like in public wouldn't say that they'd want to look into it, but they could look it up and, you know, download a PDF and read it on their own time. And then if they have more questions, then they can take the next step and they can know that there's people in their community that are happy to help them and not judge them for because it's never too late to change your mind about something.
That's right.
So that's why I find it it was important to me. I have a lot of people in my life that maybe didn't have the support in their family. And as you get older, I'm sure you've experienced this as well. It's like you find out so much, of obviously your family is super important, but sometimes your chosen family becomes kind of more like in the spotlight, or kind of like something that you can depend on more. And that's okay. It's okay to have a variety of different people that in your life. So yeah.
I think the thing about, right, there's a variety is the spice of life is a cliche. And what I have found as I've gotten older is being more open to hearing conversations about things that I may not have been open to hearing years ago. And living in Seattle, it is one of the most open-minded places I have ever lived in. I know when I first got there, walking down the street, I saw pride flags in the windows. I saw Black Lives Matter flags in business windows. Stop AAPI hate was in windows. And it made me feel really comfortable to know that people were looking out for each other, including strangers.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks ago, I talked to a gentleman at a workout group that we're a part of, and he's a member of the queer community. And I was asking him questions, and he answered them all. He was very helpful in providing insight and having conversation. And I just think that if you're ready, willing, and able to have those conversations with people and educate yourself and not be fearful of a person, honestly, that's really what it boils down to.
Right.
Like your whole world opens up. Like your whole world opens up.
Right.
I know when we changed our logo about 3 years ago from our standard black Run Try Bike logo to the pride flag. And I tell this story a lot. It was same Pride Month. June 30th was coming to an end. July 1st was around the corner, and I was getting ready to change the banner out because Pride Month was over. And I thought to myself, in a moment of clarity, the queer community doesn't stop being queer on July 1st. The same way you don't stop being Hispanic when Hispanic Heritage Month ends. Like you're still Hispanic. And I've left that up on our site, and it's a logo that we prominently display, and I have it on my sweatshirt. And I cannot tell you, Chrissy, how many people have said to me, I didn't know who you guys were or what you were about, but once I saw the logo, I was very comfortable in talking to you.
Wow.
And that is reward enough to be able to make somebody feel comfortable.
Right. And it's just such a small gesture, like you said. And I think what you were just saying too is like super important. It's like, that's really great that you had someone that you could talk to or ask questions to. But I think the other thing that we also, I've learned personally is like, it's not their responsibility to educate us either. So to have these resources, like we can learn these things together. They didn't sign up to educate people, you know? So I just think that's really great. Like you said, it's like the spice of life, and, it takes all kinds of people. And like when people realize, like you said, when you're having a welcoming way to get people in a conversation, then you're like, oh, I don't need to have my defenses up. Like we can actually chat about hard things. And that's actually great. We'll learn things that we didn't think and find more things in common that we didn't realize,
Yeah. And you're raising money for the PFLAG organization. Do you have a URL that you can share with our audience, and we'll put it in the show notes?
Sure. It's just if you go on my social profile. So I'm sure that, if you just find it Chrissy M. Murphy, it's just in my Meta profile. I actually just talked to Meta recently about fundraising. So it's actually pretty interesting. They're asking me how I use it. And I'm like, I love using it because it makes it easy for people to get involved. Because so many times, I've fundraised for many different organizations that are important to me. And so many of the times people want to help you, but they're like, there's too many hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
And, it's challenging or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, it's all there. And, it doesn't take too much fees and stuff like that. So that's nice.
You said you fundraise for a bunch of different organizations. Is that something that was instilled in you as when you were a kid, or is that something that came along as you made your way through life and you saw some obstacles that people have to go through and you wanted to help?
Yeah, it's something that's just developed over the years and meeting so many different people that are going through different challenges. Like, I've seen so many like memes and cartoons recently, like, and they're funny, but it's so true. It's like no matter where you go or what you do, like you don't know what someone's going through. And you talk to them and you're like, wow, like, what can I do in my life that is like feasible? Because you want to do big things, you want to
Mhm.
like make huge changes, but you're like, how can I do things on my level and like be a positive, just contributor to different issues and things like that? Because, I think in the past, like I would have been like, wow, raising like $150, like, wow, you're so special. But I'm like, no, like this is a small thing that I can do this month. Someone else will see it and be like, hey, what is important to me? Like, what can I do in my community? What can I do in causes that are important to me? And I think that's the beautiful thing that happens. And it's just really special. And it sparks so many conversations too.
Yeah, and I think social media has distorted what success looks like, right? So if you raise 150 bucks, that's 150 bucks to an organization that didn't have 150 bucks before.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like, and that's a big deal. Would it be great if it was 1,500 or 150,000? Sure, it would
Yeah.
be absolutely phenomenal. But it's still a contribution to an organization that wouldn't have had it to begin with.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we have to learn is perspective. Like, social media is great at distorting perspective, right?
Yeah.
Chrissy's running for 30 days straight, and I could be like, well, man, I am not running 30 days straight. I'm not as good of a runner as she is. But let's say you ran 1 mile a day for 30 days. You'd run 30 miles. I'm
Right.
going to do that in a week,
Yeah.
right? So now does that, right? Like, it's perspective about
Yeah.
how we look at things. And I just, oftentimes social media can distort in a negative way our
Yeah.
perceptions.
I 100% agree. It's like one of my good friends, Angie, she's been on this streak for like 1,500 days. So I
Wow.
see like her streak and I'm like, I think me like a decade ago would have been like, well, my little streak looks so pathetic, but it's like, no, like everybody's doing something that's important to them. Like
Yes.
and she literally today wrote a post that said, I've been doing this streak for X amount of days. It might not seem important or cool or impress anybody, but it gives me something that I can do every day that's getting me active, and I think that's really cool. Like it's part of her life. It's not like a task anymore,
Right.
So that's pretty neat.
Before we jump into the food questions, John Hudson said he loves the run streak and good luck to you. And he
Thank
also mentioned that the Seattle waterfront path is one of the most magical places to run. And
It's so beautiful.
it
Wow.
really is. Like, honestly, if you can afford to, just buy a plane ticket, drive there, and just run on the Centennial Path, even if it's for 30 minutes, your life will be changed.
It's breathtaking. Yeah.
And
I love
here's
it.
another thing. I want to dispel the rumor that it rains all the time in Seattle. I lived
No,
there for a
no, no.
year.
It's
Here's my
awful
theory
all the time.
as the sun beams in from behind you. Here's my theory. Lori, my wife, and I rewatched all of Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
in nearly every episode of Grey's Anatomy, it rains.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I said, I think this is why people think it rains all the time in
Right.
Seattle, is because here's a super popular show, and just about every episode, it's raining.
Mm-hmm. But that goes back to your perspective thing, because the Grey's Anatomy hospital facade is like a news station. So it's like there's
Yes.
so much that is just not even real,
Here's
and
the
you walk
thing.
right by it for in December I ran the Seattle Marathon, and they stage it right by the Space Needle. And I'd never even watched Grey's Anatomy, but I've watched like scenes from it and the opening and everything. And no matter what, it's like it's in your brain, right? So I
Yeah.
when I walk by, I'm like, I can hear the Grey's Anatomy music. It's just wild. It's like these things that they become part of just culture. And
Here's the really wild thing. So we lived a block away from that TV station that was
wow,
used as the front for Grey's Anatomy. And so when we would watch it, I'd be like, there's the helipad. And that's the thing that they were using as the
that's funny.
scene on Grey's Anatomy. Yeah, we lived a block and a half away from
Yeah,
the
you were
Space
right in
Needle.
that. Wow.
I absolutely love that apartment. I could get out of the elevator, get pizza, get muffins, get coffee, get French baguettes, all
Ooh.
within like a quarter of a mile. It was
Oh, it's
glorious.
great.
It was glorious.
I love it.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. We're going to jump into our rapid fire food questions, which aren't really super rapid fire. You take your time to think about them.
Okay,
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, Oreos. Are you a fan of the old school Oreo, the Cakester, the thin, the double stuff, or the mega double stuff?
Regular.
Is there a particular flavor of Oreo?
So I love trying all the new weird ones. The weirdest ones, the better. So my favorite ones have been the Swedish fish ones.
And what does it taste like? Does it actually taste like a Swedish fish?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Like everybody else in my family was like, "Bleh." I'm like, oh, it's so good.
Did you try the Pop Rocks one?
I tried those. I really loved those. The toffee crunch one was really good. And I was just talking to someone today because I need to try the new Selena Gomez ones. So.
Santino just popped on and typed in Selena Gomez
Yes!
Oreos. What's a
Yes.
Selena Gomez Oreo? I have no idea. I'm out of the loop.
Yeah, it's like I think it has like a condensed milk and cinnamon situation going on.
It's almost like a dulce de leche
I
Oreo
think,
then.
yeah, and I think it like the cookie part is a little different. He could probably he just got him today, I know. And I was like, I'm going tonight to the store. I'm gonna pick him up.
Santino's eating enjoyment precedes him. So let's talk about how you eat the Oreo. Are you a twist and scrape? Are you a dunker, or do you put the whole thing in your mouth?
I'm like a nibbler. I keep it
Okay.
as a sandwich, but I it probably takes me like 4 bites to eat an Oreo.
Santino said they taste like Disneyland.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so excited.
They taste like Disneyland, and I can't explain it beyond that.
Okay, I'm ready. I can't wait.
Licorice. Are you a fan of licorice? And if so, red or black?
Black. It's my favorite. And I
No.
like it. I love everything black licorice flavored too.
So that anise flavor is home run for you?
It's fantastic. My favorite thing is going to a new ice cream place and seeing if they have black licorice ice cream.
Oh my goodness. So Mike and Ike's are right up there for you?
Oh yeah. Love them. Love them. No one else in my family likes it, so no one takes it from me. I love it.
I love it. Favorite chocolate candy is?
Favorite chocolate? So Cadbury, but like it has to be from the UK,
Okay.
not the American version. Like fruit and nut.
Favorite non-chocolate candy?
My favorite, Sour Patch Kids.
Oh, so good. Where do nerd clusters rank in this?
I don't like them.
No.
No, I tried them because I was like, I'm the biggest fangirl of Des Linden, and she said that she liked them, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get them, and I got them, and I was like, I'm not jiving. But then I read that someone said you have to put them in the microwave for like a few seconds, and then they're like really good. So I was like, okay, I'll try anything. So I did try it, and I'm like, pass. And I gave them to someone that liked them, so it was a win-win situation. But yeah,
There you go.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Santino brought me a 5-pound bag at Across the Years this past year.
That's wonderful.
I think they lasted about 10 days.
You know what we got though that was different was like the Starburst gummies.
Yes.
We had those in our van for Ragnar last year, and those were good. I liked those.
So speaking of microwaves, are you a fan of Peeps?
No.
Not at all.
No, I'm not a Peeps person. I do like Peeps dioramas, but not eating them.
What's a Peep diorama?
Have you not seen the Peeps dioramas? Like, oh my
No.
gosh, Google it later. People do these like intricate scenes with Peeps. Like you get like a shoebox and they'll like do like, they'll do like a Supreme Court thing. They'll do like a sports arena, like movie scenes with Peeps. It's incredible.
This is why I love people. Like, there's no way on this green earth I would have thought of something like that. And there are people who do this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like professionally. Like it's wild. Yeah, definitely check it out.
The reason why I brought up the microwave is because people have told us that in order for me to enjoy a Peep, because I don't like them at all either, is to put them in the microwave. To have fun with it, you put toothpicks in their beaks, and when they expand, it's called peep jousting.
Oh my
So
God.
do with that what you will.
That's
But no, I'm not interested in peeps whatsoever. Candy corn. Is candy corn a real candy, or is it just earwax covered in sugar?
so I'm gonna get canceled, but I love I love candy corn. And I actually have had several conversations with friends, and they're just like, there's something wrong with your brain and like your mouth or taste buds. Or I love candy corn and like candy corn flavored things, but I
What is
draw the
candy
line
corn?
at like those little pumpkins. Those pumpkins, I don't mess with the pumpkins. But
Do you eat the candy corn the way you eat an Oreo? So you nibble it, so you go orange, white, yellow?
oh yeah, for sure. And they taste slightly different. I know they don't, but they do to me.
Well, look, we all have our own intricacies. Do you have a method for eating M&Ms?
A method for eating it. When I was younger, I used to separate the colors. Now I don't. Nobody got time for that. I don't do that.
Well, I do. I have plenty of time to do it. I separate the colors and I eat from the least amount to the largest amount. So if
Oh.
there's 1 blue and 6 yellow, I'm eating the 1 blue by itself, and then I'll eat the 6 yellow. But I don't eat more than 3 at a time. I have no idea. It is what it is, and that's how we live.
But do you eat them with popcorn?
No.
I saw that on there was that robot show that Remy Malek was in.
I have
Like
no
he had a
idea.
childhood memory of putting M&Ms in his popcorn, and I tried it, and it's really good.
Popcorn is off limits for altering in any form or fashion. Like I will try.
Do you like caramel corn?
No, I don't like caramel corn. I don't like the cheesy
Oh
popcorn.
no, I don't like the cheesy one either.
Like if somebody gives me that tin for Christmas,
That's nasty.
right? Like I am now blocking and muting you. You are no longer a friend, is what I know. Like
The only
I'm not
tin I will
having it.
accept is Garrett's from Chicago. That's the only one I'll take. Because that one is fresh and delicious. Not like those Christmas ones that like they packed those like 7 years ago. That's
Exactly. It's like styrofoam becoming home. It's awful. Is red velvet cake a real flavor, or is it just chocolate cake dressed up to go to the prom?
It's the latter. My kids love it.
Are you getting it from a bakery, or are you getting it from the grocery store?
From a bakery, or we did make it before, and I told them they were grossed out because like one of the recipes said like just put red food coloring, and I said, oh, we should use like beet juice, and they're like, blah, beet juice.
Vegetables? No.
And I was like, you won't taste it, and it'll look like a better color, because if you do it wrong red, it'll be like murder red, not like beautiful red, But no, they were like, no, not again. So it has to be from like a legit bakery.
Yeah, because the legit bakery does the alkalized cocoa, and the buttercream is phenomenal, cream cheese frosting, whatever it is. Yes, but when you go to like Kroger or Albertsons, like that's just, dyed chocolate cake.
Yeah.
It's nothing other than that.
Pass.
Do you have a favorite flavor of cake?
Carrot cake.
Yes. Raisins, yes or no?
It's not make or break for me. If it's like the right ratio, it's fine. I don't want it to take over the situation. No.
Pecans or walnuts, yes or no?
Walnuts.
And pineapple in the carrot cake, yes or no?
Not in a carrot cake, but that's like a hummingbird cake, which I really like.
Yeah.
With
So
the
I've had
pineapple
the pineapple in a carrot cake once, and it was really tasty because the pineapple wasn't too overpowering, and it added a little bit moisture to it.
There's a place in down in Florida called Homecoming, Art Smith's Homecoming, and their thing is the hummingbird cake. And I got the recipe, so I make it at home sometimes. And
I'll buy my plane ticket. We'll come hang out.
It's so good. Super good.
Last question before I let you go. Tray of brownies has come out of the oven. It's been sitting on the counter long enough for it to cool, so you can actually touch it. Are you going to the edge for the corner slice? Are you going to the edge that just has the ooey gooey in the middle and the crusty part on the edge? Or are you going straight into the middle for 100% ooey gooey?
All 4 corners.
Let the kids and your husband fight over the rest.
They like the inside. I lucked out here. but I do that thing where, you cut the small piece. I'm just eating a small piece and then there's a big chunk missing. Oh, I don't know how that happened,
Do you leave the knife in the pan too?
Oh, for sure. And you have to use like a plastic knife because that cuts it right. Yeah. Plastic knife.
Oh, actually, I forgot. I do have one more question. How do you make do you eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
Oh yeah, I love peanut butter jelly.
So how do you make them? And here are your options. Do you put peanut butter on one slice of bread and jelly on the other and then smash them together? Do you put peanut butter on one slice of bread, jelly over the top of that peanut butter, and then put the other piece of bread over top and smash it?
Okay, for my kids, I do the first one, peanut butter and jelly, and put it together. For myself, both peanut butter and then one layer of jelly. So it's like a double peanut butter situation. I love peanut butter. Yeah.
And how do you cut the sandwich, if at all? Do you go 2 triangles, 2 rectangles, 4 triangles, 4 squares, or are you just raw dogging it straight in?
Raw dogging. 4 triangles.
4, yes.
And I set them up on the plate so they look like a mountain range.
Yes, and then do you eat them with your pinkies up because it's
Yeah.
a fancy? Yes, yeah, finally found somebody.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
We're gonna be fancy PB&J eaters around here, man.
That's right.
That's how we do it. Chrissy, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you joining me on this fireside chat. It's been great getting to know you, and keep posting those vibrant colored smile from ear to ear pictures. I know they make my day, and I'm sure they make thousands of others' day as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was great chatting with you. Thanks so much, Jason.
For those of you who have stuck around the entire time, thank you so much. Time is the greatest gift that we can give to anybody, and you've given me your time. So thank you very much. Check out the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and comment where you can so that we can continue to bring great guests like Chrissy onto the show. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in 7 days.